like I always say, I'm not a comic book guy. It's really you I always turn to when it comes to comic book stuff. So I was wondering if you could fill me in on who this Cable character is.
He's a product of the 90s.
The 90s.
90s was a dark period in comics where Marvel was just hanging on.
Yep.
They were like, let's give them everything. Well, 600 different variations, foil covers. Let's everything. Let's just milk it for. And they were really on the verge of collapsing as a company.
Right.
It's hard to believe they're so successful now, being traded on the stock exchange, like everything. They're this huge enterprise.
Right.
And this was a dark time. But during that time is when they created Deadpool and Cable and all kinds of other stupid characters.
Right.
So, I did my research.
All right. So how about we have a
bullshit superhero origins. Today, Cable. All right. So in my research, this is what I've managed to... It was a little hard to decipher because it was, a lot of the characters of the 90s are very ridiculous. They don't really make a whole lot of sense. They were just like, okay, how about this, and there was a lot of that, I guess it always was. Stan Lee was saying, okay, he climbs on the wall like a spider. Like, that's all it really came for Spider-Man, but they tried to make it much more in depth. And so after reading and studying and reading through old comics, here is the story of Cable. In the 27th century, Rene Long Prairie Kablonsky is called to install television access to an apartment on the 900th floor of a building deemed cable-worthy to the orange-haired mutant Apocalypse. Because elevators are only used in low-income condominiums, everyone simply beams to whatever dwelling they're going to. Unfortunately for Kablonsky, some cybernetic gangsters were in the middle of torturing a guy with some weird techie thingamajig at the same moment that Kablonsky's beaming up. But for some reason, he gets beamed to the wrong place and ends up appearing right between the device and the guy. And bam! He gets zapped and all of his cable gear gets fused to his body. He, in turn, accidentally kills the gangsters. The guy getting tortured was the scientist working on a time-traveling system, and the gangsters were trying to steal it. Kablonsky and the scientist begin working together to make the world a better place, with Kablonsky going by the name Cable Man. When the brother of the gangster Kablonsky accidentally killed comes to get him, they kill the scientist. But before he dies, he helps Cable Man escape through time. Cable Man arrives sometime between 9 and 12 on the 20th century on the front lawn of Xavier's mutant school and becomes the shop teacher of the school and buddies with the X-Men. He wires the school with a futuristic cable package that not only gets regular cable and a VIP movie package, but it also shows channels from the future, and with future content, a portal into the future. Charles Xavier decides it's too dangerous, because if it were to fall into the wrong hands, who knows? And he decides to remove the future channel package, but before that happens, Magneto converges on the school with the evil mutant gang to steal Xavier's cable. Luckily, the future gear is made out of a synthetic metal, and Magneto has no power over it, and so Cable Man manages to cut the cable in time. Magneto leaves, and Charles Xavier has Cable Man reinstall basic cable, but with TMN and HBO so they can still watch Game of Thrones. Cable Man becomes Deadpool's sidekick for a time, who tells him Cable Man is a stupid name and shortens it to Cable. This is likely the story arc in the upcoming Deadpool 2 film.
And that is your bullshit origin story.
Cable.